What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr Wargames, and today I'm going to bring you ninja combos with test hands as well. Now believe it or not, this board in front of you is OTK, and I'm going to show you how to get there thanks to Q First Turn and David Isaacson just from these two cards right here. So if you want to see more ninja content, please make sure you smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Now we'll start off with the two card combo, show you how you can basically OTK your opponent. I'll also show you how you could adapt that to a more defensive one as well. And then we'll do random test hands so you can see the consistency of a deck like this. So you start off with Ninja Green Grandmaster Hanzo and Mitsu the Insect Ninja. Now obviously any ninja extender in the form of something like Green Ninja or a Tabari added to a hand like this will get the job for you done, and you'll see that as we make the plays out. So you start off by normal summoning your Grandmaster Hanzo. Hanzo is then going to add your ninjutsu art of Notebook. Now keep in mind this is going second, so your opponent already has a monster on the field, so your ninjutsu art mystery is live. You then special summon down Mitsu because you control a ninja, and then you get to link both of these off and go into Cross Heap. Because your opponent controls a monster, you are now able to activate the mystery. This will set Hanzo from the graveyard back to the board, and it will let you set the Iron Digger directly from your deck. Now because Iron Digger is not a quick play, it can be activated this turn. It can be equipped to Cross Heap, or if your opponent has a monster that you want to get off the board, you can equip it to that monster, use the effect of the Iron Digger to banish Mitsu from the graveyard, and then attempt to destroy that card, or ideally just go and destroy the Iron Digger itself. This will then trigger the effect to let you reset Mitsu to the board. Now keep in mind, with contact fusing and just fusing in general, you can use face down monsters, so you are able to use both of these being face down ninjas to contact fuse into a Maizen. It's very important that Maizen goes to a zone that Cross Heap points to, because then you can trigger Cross Heap's effect in order to revive a ninja from the graveyard, and that of course will be your Hanzo. Hanzo will then be able to trigger its on special summon effect to search out a ninja monster, which will of course be Baku. You'll trigger Baku's effect to special summon itself down, and then trigger its other effect to allow you to add back the ninjutsu art Iron Digger, because it's not once per turn. You then beautifully get to link these three cards together, so you've got a link 2 plus 2 ninjas, gets you a link 4 monster, so we're going to be going straight into Bottle Sword. Now at the moment it's not OTK because the only card that can attack directly is of course your Maizen. So you're going to activate the ninjutsu art tool and you're going to equip it to your Bottle Sword Dragon, making it a ninja with a 3500 base attack. That is your OTK, because now both of these can attack directly, and this is before your opponent's even activated anything, and if they do of course you'll get a free extender off of the Maizen. But you're going to be able to attack directly for Maizen with 25, and then you're going to be able to attack directly with 35, use the effect of Bottle Sword to shift Maizen to defense, and then continue to go through for 35 way over game. So that is pretty much it for a very simple 2-card combo. Like I said, shout out to David Isaacson and of course Q First Turns who mentioned this to me, and I thought it was a really cool combo to work with. Now what we're going to do is we're going to shuffle up and we're going to do 2 random test hands, one going first and one going second, so you can kind of see the consistency of the deck like this and some of the normal plays that you would make. In order to make that board a bit more defensively, again you would need either an additional extender, or you would need to be able to add to your hand Silent Wobby to make sure your opponent has a monster to make sure that Mystery is live, and then rather than going for a Bottle Sword you can go for a free negate Appaloosa, so that's how you can shift it up. So after a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, we will do an opening hand going first of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're kind of just one card short of being able to get combo. This isn't the greatest hand, especially when we've opened up two, like a card you don't want to see in your hand and a go second card, but this is where Prosperity comes in, and as painful as it is, it's just one of them cards that gets you everything you need to. Now, personally, the first thing I'll go for is I'd get rid of one Yagamaru. If I don't plan to make the Giant Moth, I can get rid of that. If I don't plan to make Unicorn or anything along those lines, you can start dwindling these cards down if you want to. Now, everything you do take out of here would be a risk because you never know what your opponent might end on or what they might want to shift it to. So you do need to be very cautious on what you are getting rid of and what you're keeping. So I'm going to get rid of the Ultimate Great Moth because I don't think I'm going to use any of those this turn. And then you reveal your 6. One of them's Hanzo, so there you go. We've got a full combo for the go first play. Plus we've got a call by and then leaves. So what you'd want to do here, like I think there's a no-brainer on taking the Hanzo off the back of that. Hanzo is of course going to be your normal summon, so you're just going to go as defensive as you possibly can. So you start off by using Hanzo. Hanzo effect will allow you to add a ninjutsu art. Now you've already got Dancing Leaves, so again, to get you your most kind of the most presence on the board, you're probably going to go for your ninjutsu art of duplication. Now you could also, if you were able to give your opponent a silent wobby, you could go for the notebook, and you could go for an Iron Digger if you want to, but I feel that you're going to get enough control from these two cards here as it is. You can then special summon down your Mitsu. Now you've got an option here if you want to, is that you can go into a Saizo. Saizo will just then give you an additional ninjutsu art card, which is actually really quite cool. So what you'll do is you'll link these two together. You'll go into the Saizo, two monsters with different types. You've got one warrior, two ninjas. So you've got one insect, one warrior. So you can go into Maizen as well if you want to. Then you're going to use your Grandmaster Saizo's effect. This is going to set you an ninjutsu art of notebook. And then you're going to be able to set your duplication, and you're going to set the Dancing Leaves. Now you've got the ability to activate the Dancing Leaves straight away because you've got Saizo on the board. It doesn't need to have a specific level. The duplication will need you to have a level, and that's where Notebook comes in. So you're going to pass your opponent's turn. Keep in mind, apart from the Geo, you've actually got an ability to clear a board off should it get to that point. You're then going to pass your opponent, and what's going to happen here is as soon as your opponent controls a card, now whether they activate something like MST, you can still chain Ninjutsu Art or Notebook. If they normal summon a monster, anything like that, you're good to go. So you can activate your Notebook. You've got cards in the graveyard, so you're good and ready to set up. And then you also get the ability to set another Ninjutsu Art card. Now obviously it can't be used this turn, but it is entirely up to you on which one you want to go for. You can, of course, if you had a Ninjutsu Art in the graveyard, you could reset that and then special a ninja from the deck. But you're pretty much being able to set yourself up with a bit of negate and a bit of interruption. So you're going to set this down here. It doesn't really matter what one you set because you can tribute it. So you kind of want to go with the one with the highest level. And then probably what I'll do here is I'll put the Iron Digger down just so I've got the set for everything I need to. And then what you have the ability to do for here as well, I'll probably put it to a zone that Saizo points to, and then Saizo can't be targeted. So then what you want to do here is you can activate Duplication. Duplication will let you tribute your Hanzo, because it tributes as cost, so it will recognize it's a ninja in the graveyard. It doesn't say tribute a face-up ninja, it just says tribute a ninja. So then you'll get to special summon any ninjas from the deck that add up to 4, and the ones you're probably going to want to go for is I would probably go for a face-down green ninja. Again, keep in mind that you're trying to maximize your interaction. So you're either going to go for a face-down green ninja and then 2 Tabaris, and then that's your ability to go into a Tabari quick effect, contact fuse these two, and go into a Book of Moon Maizen. Alternatively, instead of going for Green Ninja, you can, if you feel that you're going to need the negate for something, you can actually go for a Mitsu and a Tabari. Make sure the Mitsu is face up, and you need to have one face down because then your negate is going to be active and live. Obviously, keep in mind that that would mean your duplication has been used. You still have the ability, it has to go face out of tap position, apologies. But you're going to be contact fusing these off anyway. So even if your opponent rushes to battle phase, you've still got ways to protect and play around. So you might actually be better putting that there and then putting these here. Doesn't make too much of a difference. Because then the idea would be that once you've used your Mitsu negate, so let's say we've done this, you've then got the ability of the Dancing Leaves, and the Dancing Leaves can then let you tribute off. So let's tribute off a Tabari. Probably get rid of the attack position one just so we don't get smacked in the face. Not that it will ever really happen. And then of course you've got the option of bringing down the Green Ninja, but we're going to go into the Geo. Geo is then going to be able to Book a Moon 2 of your opponent's cards. Not to mention that we can we can hold as many of these back, or we can push as many of these as further forward as we wanted to. So we could very easily, after we've done that negate, we can then use a Tabari, use the Tabari's effect plus the Mitsu, now that it's already used as negate, go into Maizen first, and then you can get rid of this to go into the Geo. Geo is going to provide you with Book of Moon capabilities. Not to mention if your opponent activates anything, you've also got Maizen as well. And then Maizen can pretty much bring out anything you want to. Now the only one you don't want to bring out is Hanzo, because Hanzo will then miss timing. But you can still set yourself up with another Tabari. You can also get the Kagero from the deck as well. And the idea is you're pretty much setting yourself up for the next turn. So both of these have been burnt, they've already been used. But throughout this entire play, we've negated and then we've been able to extend. We've Book-a-Mooned and locked a zone, like basically locked those two monsters face down. And then Saizo is still protected from battle. They need to get rid of Yugioh, which is a 2900 defender, and your Maizen, which is a 2500 attacker. So they need to get rid of both of those. If they still fail to get rid of these, apart from the Yugioh in the hand, which isn't ideal, we're going to shuffle this up. We're going to draw one card per turn, which is Pot of Prosperity. So obviously we don't really want to activate it now because we've already done what we need to do. What you do now have the ability for is you're then going to be able to go, you can activate the Iron Digger if you want to, connect it to any of these, pop it. This will then allow you to banish a ninja monster. So I'm probably going to banish Tabari. Don't want Tabari. Doesn't really make much of a difference, really. I mean, if I banish Tabari, I can get the second Yugioh to the board. So banish Tabari, Iron Digger triggers, lets you add the Tabari back to the hand. And this is why you play a second Iron Digger, because you can use the Grandmaster Saizo. This can let you reset the second Iron Digger. You can use Dancing Leaves to add this back to the hand. And then you can activate another Iron Digger to gain 500 on one of these. You've got the Tabari effect to send itself from the hand to the graveyard. And then special summon a ninja in face up or face down defense from your hand. So we can go Tabari and then summon out the Yugioh. Switch this Yugioh to attack, switch this Kagari to attack. Now keep in mind, at the moment we have 3,000 if this is connected by Iron Digger, 5,000, 7,300, 8,900. So you've got OTK there. If you wanted to, you can go into a Yagamaru. Yagamaru can banish another card, and you can keep going from there. And then you'll also, should worst case scenario happen and they manage to survive this, don't know how, you can also set the Dancing Leaves so that can be activated next turn. Keeping in mind that your opponent's got like 4 cards that are now Book-a-Mooned and locked. And then you can activate Pot of Prosperity in main phase 2 to dig out a little bit further. Not that you should need it, you've pretty much got everything you need to right here in front of you. And that was with holding back 2 of your cards. Like, we only played with 3 cards in our hand. But the Dark Hole was a contingency. It's not a card that I would say you play in all of your decks or all of the Ninja versions. It was just one of these ones that I wanted to show you the exact build that I played. Bar the Boral Sword, that's new, that's been added. But the exact build that I played, so you can kind of see what type of options you have. So now, let's start going second. I would have liked to have shown you what happened if you get Wobby to the hand. But I think Wobby is just one of them ones where it's like an additional level. So we're going to shuffle this up. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to do a test hand going second. So after another very decent shuffle and a good old cut, we'll now go second, being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Again, a weird hand. It's not the end of the world, but it's not the best, it's not the worst. Now you've got a couple of options here if you wanted to. Like, you can special summon down your Mitsu very easy and that will give you a monster in the game. You probably want to be setting one of these cards, but in order to get everything to the board, you probably want to use the Tabari special summon effect as well, which gets you 3 ninjas to the board. And this is before you use Pot of Prosperity. Now, if you use Pot of Prosperity, you're obviously going to be trying to dig for either a board-breaking card, something like Book of Eclipse, something like Dark Hole, in order to mean that your builds are going to go through. But even when you do Prosperity, it means you've got to do 16,000 damage in order to win that turn. So you're not in the best of positions here. But you still have the ability, I believe, I think we still need the Hanzo actually to get to where we need to. But you would go, I would set a monster first, just so that I can special summon down my Mitsu, and I've instantly got the ability to negate one of my opponent's monster effects. If I'm that worried about something, I can then use Tabari to special summon down another Mitsu. Now, like I said, it's not ideal, the route we're going to have to go here. Because then you're going to contact fuse into Maizen, and then you're trying to bait your opponent to use a monster effect. That's kind of like the route you're going here without using Prosperity. In doing so, I would probably get rid of, like, there's no point in having a face down at this particular point without a Mitsu on the board. So if you contact fuse these two, well, this one and this one, then you've got your Maizen, and then basically what you're saying to your opponent is, activate a monster effect, I want to bring out another ninja. And if they don't fall for that, then you're in a bit of trouble. You can, of course, go into your Saizo, but again, the issue with Saizo is it sets the ninjutsu arts. You can't activate it then and there. So what we'll do is we'll rewind this particular hand, and we'll see how Pot of Prosperity changes it. Like I said, it's a bit of a weird hand. Like, you know, you're seeing double Mitsu. But activate Potter's Prosperity, I would probably get rid of the same 6, to be honest. 1 Yagamaru. If I feel the game's going to be very aggressive, I mean, you probably want... I'm not going to OTK, so you probably want Appaloosa to stay. I'd probably keep the Great Moth just because I've got 2 Mitsus. I might have the capabilities to deal with that. We'll get rid of this one. We'll get rid of 1 Maizen. I could get rid of Blade Armor. It's probably not something ideal. Trying to balance these out a little bit. You kind of want to keep the Relinquish Animal, because if your opponent got lazy, you can just go normal summon Tabari or get Tabari to the board and then link that off into Relinquish. But if they haven't been lazy, you get rid of that, and then if they're not playing Earth Monsters, you get rid of that. So straight away, there's your 6. It's never easy. You need to kind of adapt it on what your opponent has. So the 6 we've got Rota, well that's, you know, Tabari, Silent Wobby, Yugioh, Book of Moon. So, I mean, you're probably going to go for Rota on that one. That one's going to give you your access to your Hanzo very easily. I would like to say we can OTK, but obviously Prosperity, we can't. So you're going to take the Rota, you're going to activate the Rota. Of course, you're going to go for Hanzo. Let's find the first Hanzo. There we go, Hanzo. And then you've got a couple of options here. You can now actually special summon something a little bit better. So again, you can still do the set Kagero, the special summon Mitsu, and then you can use Tabari, but this time you special summon out your Hanzo. Keep in mind though, on normal, it will let you add the quick play, so it's give and take. Like if you special this, you get Baku summons, but it's not got anything to recycle. If you save your set and keep it like this, and then you go normal summon Hanzo, well, I suppose actually Tabari could special the Kagero in face down defense. I suppose that's one way of doing it. So you'd probably go Tabari, set the Kagero, special the Mitsu, normal the Hanzo, and now at least you've got the play here to protect your Hanzo from being negated. Hanzo's effect goes off. This will give you Ninjutsu Art of Mystery. I keep saying Mastery. I want it to be Mastery, but Mystery. I mean, this is active. There's no way your opponent has an empty board, and if they have empty boards, you're just going for OTK anyway. Now you've got the option, if you want to contact fuse. It's entirely up to you. I would probably, I mean, Notebook. If you said face down defense, not that it's in the end of the world on this one. You're kind of now in a position where you activate this. Again, you're just basically saying to your opponent, activate a monster effect. And if they do, great. If they don't, you know. So you're going to set the Tabari from the graveyard, and then we will... we get to add an Ninjutsu Art, spell or trap. The issue is, like, I suppose Iron Digger is probably your best option there. You've now got 2 face downs, but it's really up to you if you want to be getting rid of both face downs or not. I'm trying to think if you can go further. It really depends. If you're like, it's at this point where you have to sacrifice the negate. If you want to keep the negate, then you contact fuse like Hanzo plus one of these. In doing so, you get your Maizen, but then you're still in the same position of you're like, okay, I can activate the Iron Digger, I can banish the Hanzo, and then I can reset the Hanzo and then go for another contact fuse, but you're not really getting anywhere. So you're now at a position where you've kind of protected everything you want to, and you're now going to have to contact fuse away your negate. So let's go with... Let's link these off. Let's go as far as we can get. I think I can actually get Baku plus sword. So we'll go sheep. Activate Iron Digger. Iron Digger will banish Mitsu to pop a card our opponent's controls. Obviously, you want to, like, by popping the card your opponent controls, you want to make sure that the Iron Digger is connected to one of your opponent's monsters. And the idea is that you're going to try and pop that. In doing so, this will let you reset the Mitsu. Just make sure that you leave a zone free for cross sheep. Because now what you want to do is you want to contact fuse 2 of these. So I'd probably contact fuse the Kagero and the Mitsu. And you're going to go into your Maizen. This will trigger Cross Sheep's effect, and that will allow you to bring back Hanzo. Hanzo's effect will now trigger, because it was special, you get to add a ninja monster. So you're going to add, wherever it may be, Baku. Baku will special summon himself. Baku's effect will trigger, allowing you to add back an Ninjutsu Art. So you're going to add back the Iron Digger. The criminal schemes follows always treat as a ninja. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. Yeah, okay, so you can equip the Iron Digger, you just can't pop. But you've still got the capabilities of a contact fuse. If your opponent activates anything, you've got this. This is obviously the Boral Sword play right here for the OTK, but we can't guarantee that OTK right now. So let's go with... I mean, we can maximise damage, and then we're going for an Appaloosa to protect. So that's probably the best way of doing it. How do we want to do this one? I suppose you go Sizo. Sizo's effect, I still have the Iron Digger in hand, by the way. Sizo's effect will let us set an ninjutsu art. Now, we've already got Dance, so probably want Duplication. At least Duplication will give us more control. And this is all on the assumption that at this particular moment in time, your opponent is not activating monster effects. Because if they activate, or any card effects in general, if they activate a card effect, then obviously Maizen goes off, and Maizen gives you another monster on the board. So you're in a very good position of that one. Now you're probably going to want to try and maximise damage as much as you possibly can. So activating the ninjutsu art tool. You kind of want Sizo up here, to be honest, but I'm going to get rid of him after this anyway. So I'm going to activate the Iron Digger tool onto the Maizen. Maizen's going to tap for 15, because obviously Prosperity is halved. Sizo is then going to tap for 1,000. Obviously Cross Sheep can't attack. Then you go to main phase 2, and then you link off your Sizo and your Cross Sheep, and you'll go for a 2-negate Appaloosa. Again, with the attack of these, if they've got monsters, then you're going to want to try and pick them off. You could contact fuse the Sizo with the face down Tabari, but again, it's not really worth it. So then what we'll do here is we'll pass our opponent. Probably should have got rid of, like, I think now looking further forward to it, we might have been better off keeping the Kagero face down right at the start, and then actually getting rid of the Tabari, because at least with the Kagero we've got a level 4 that we can tribute off, and I don't think we've used Kagero's effect at any point. So long story short, obviously we pass into our opponent here. Now what we've done is we've been able to kind of protect our plays through Hanzo, get into an Appaloosa that can protect a little bit further, and go from there. Now, like I said, if they've got monsters on the board, you want to pick them off bit by bit, and then you don't even need to worry about half damage. You then pass to your opponent, and then during your opponent's turn, you've got the ability of the Dancing Leaves. Now keep in mind that Dancing Leaves will let you get rid of one of your opponent's monsters that's been Bookamooned. You've got the access of Maizen, Special Summoning from the deck, and I can't imagine they're not going to activate a monster effect. So, or just an effect in general. I keep saying monster effect, but it's just effect in general. So let's say they activate an effect in general. So when they activate that effect, you activate Maizen. Now obviously if they activate a monster effect you kind of want to ideally negate with Appaloosa, then you have that option. Otherwise you go Maizen into Yugioh. Yugioh is going to Bookamoon those cards. They cannot move their positions. You can then activate Dancing Leaves, which lets you tribute one of your opponent's monsters that is face down. And if you do special summon a ninja monster from your deck, so then that can give you access to Dabari if you want to, or you can go for Mitsu. And the reason you would go for Mitsu is because you now have the capabilities of an additional negate. And this is before you've even attempted to activate Duplication. Because the second your opponent activates a monster effect, you activate Mitsu, you flip up Kagero, you flip Mitsu face down. And then you've got the ability to go, okay, cool, Art of Duplication, get rid of Kagero. You don't need to match either. It can be less than or equal to. So you can go for a face up Tabari, and you can go for a face down green. Even though it's only 3 stars, that's all you need. Because then what you can do is during your opponent's battle phase or main phase, you can activate Tabari. So both of these have been spent. This is equipped to the Maizen. You activate Tabari's effect, you fuse Tabari plus green. You've Bookamoon 2 of your opponent's monsters. You can go into a Yagamaru. You're then going to be able to use Green's effect to Bookamoon another one of your opponent's monsters. Yagamaru is then going to use his effect in order to, just want to double check, flip face eye, banish one other ninja monster or ninjutsu art card from your hand, graveyard, face up field, target card in the field and banish it. So let's get rid of Baku. Could have got rid of Sizo really. Get rid of Baku. So we've Bookamooned 3. We've tributed 1. We've banished 1, and we haven't even used Appaloosa's negate. So we use Appaloosa's negates, that's 2. Yeah, and then there's, oh, and we negated another one off of that. So we negated loads. And then again, the exact same premise kind of comes to this point where they've got to get rid of a 2900 defender. Let's say they kill the Appaloosa, all, you know, theoretical. Mitsu is still 21 defense, so that's going to be a nice one that they're going to have to try and deal with. And then if it leaves like this, you draw for turn. Instant fusion doesn't make much of a difference. You can use Dancing Leaves to add this back to the hand. You can then use the Iron Digger effect, which will allow you to banish a ninja, which can be Hanzo, it can be Tabari, it doesn't really matter. Actually, you probably want to go for Green Ninja, because then you can book a moon another one of your opponent's monsters. Because this will be face down. You then contact Fuse, or you've got the negate off of Mitsu if you want to. If you're not worried about the negate, you contact Fuse, go into Yagamaru. This Yagamaru will trigger, banish another one, switch this to attack, and then boom, 4,000 there. And then 4,800 there. So that's your OTK push as well. And that's it for the ninjas. And like I said, it wasn't the greatest hands. Like, I understand why Pot of Prosperity is played in a ninja deck, because it lacks that consistency. It needs that ability to get to it. The fact that it plays a range of one-offs makes it a little bit more difficult to be able to play stuff like Desires and cheaper alternative draw cards as well. But it's still a really, really fun deck. I still really enjoy it. I feel that if you're going to a local environment where the game's a little bit slower, then you can afford to not play Prosperity. If you're going to a high leveled event, you're kind of going to want those Prosperities, just for that consistency factor. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope this has given you a couple of ideas on how to play the deck. I hope the combo at the start also helped you as well, kind of give you an idea on what its OTK route is. Like I said, the defensive route of this deck is pretty much the exact same kind of combo, because you saw how Hanzo works. But the issue is you need to add to that hand an additional monster. And that additional monster needs to be something like Tabari, because Tabari is a free extender when obviously you send itself and then special on one of these, or something like Silent Wobby. And the reason that Silent Wobby works is because you give it to your opponent. Not only can it help you trigger your Maizen, but you're also giving them a monster that you can then use your Ninjutsu Art of Mystery on as well. And that will allow you to continue and make the exact same end board that we did for the OTK combo at the start. But rather than Boral Sword, you get a free negate Appaloosa, backed up with a Maizen, backed up with all the traps that you might need as well, because that was only 3 cards. You still have 2 more cards to go with. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Do to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.